How many years have you been in the business?
40.
40?
40.
40? I got you.
How old are you, Aaron?
41.
I got in the I was in training class when you were just
Dude, that's crazy.
crazy, right?
That is crazy. All right. You ready? All right. We're back here. I'm Aaron DeSoto. I'm here with my special guest today, Mr. Bruno Collins. Welcome, Mr. Bruno. You're here in Chicago where the weather is a cool but warm for us, 27 degrees.
Yeah.
You just came from Florida, right?
Yeah. South Florida, actually.
South Florida. And what is it, about 50, 60 degrees
No,
there?
it was more like 70 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. Hey, listen, you've been in the business for a long time, and you're actually one of my first coaches and trainers way back when. It was about 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've been in the business for 40 years.
40, yeah.
40
yeah.
years. So, I mean, I want to pick your brain a little bit, and I'm sure people want to hear your opinion because you have the experience, you have the knowledge, and you really, you've done it all in the business. And I say Fred Astaire, but really all the dance business, you're respected throughout the entire dance world, and you've done it all from training class to teaching, coaching, owning, and now literally owning, part of Fred Astaire, which is pretty amazing. So I could go many different routes with you, but the route I want to go and talk about today is one of the first things that you actually helped me with back at the old Buffalo Grove studio. Was talking to students about performing in showcases and solos. And what that is, for people who don't know, is that's basically dancing a routine to choreographed music, the same song every time. And you choreograph it specifically to match the hits in that song. Maybe you're lip syncing, maybe it's acting, so it's a little bit more like Broadway.
Yeah.
But a big thing we hear in the beginning is these people are scared or shy or don't feel like they're ready.
Yeah.
To do something like this. So I wanted you to just start talking a little bit about, when will somebody be ready to do a performance like this? Why should they do it? And kind of what to expect for the first time venturing into a solo or showcase.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when you say, they're, are they ready to do it? Most of the thing that you get is, okay, I'm not ready. I'll wait, another year or 2 years or whatever until I get better.
Right.
Well, the first time that you do a showcase is the first time. So it's kind of like if you could be taking lessons for 5, 10 years. And then the first time you do it, it's going to be the first time. So waiting to do it when you get better is not necessarily the answer. The answer is to do it as quickly as you can. Because what tends to happen is that routine's pretty much is usually tailored to their personality
right.
and the things that they already have within them. And so it's not about, technique and stuff like that. That's learned along the way. But be able to perform something, you could do it 5 years from now and it'll still be the first time. So now is really when you first get here is really the first time you do it. Because what it does is that it teaches you to dance with your personality. And that's what dancing is.
Right.
It's about personality. It's what we choreograph around the things that you bring in. You bring in with you. So it's not something that you learn. It's something that we bring out of you already.
So if you have somebody say to you, like, I've only been dancing 6 months or a year, they want me to do the big stage show or dance fantasy or whatever you call it. And, I just want to maybe dance another 2 more years, get really good at my dancing, and then do a showcase. What would you say to that?
That's then what you're doing. All you're really doing is prolonging what you could be doing right now, because in 2 years it's going to feel exactly the same as it would right now.
And then you're slowing down the progress.
Right, and you slow down your progress, because what happens is that what you learn to do is you learn to perform. And that's what dancing is. Even social dancing is performing. It's not how it feels to you, it's how it looks to others. So in turn, you're going to experience the same thing 2 years from now that you could be doing right now. And then in 2 years, you'll actually be 2 years ahead of where you normally would be.
So if you wait, essentially you're saying you're actually delaying the performance side or the personality side
Exactly.
coming out into your dancing.
You're really doing. And not only that, you're you're basically stuffing it down, because what you're going to be doing in that process is you're going to be learning a lot of technique, you're going to be learning a lot of movement, you're going to be doing this, you're going to be doing that. And what tends to happen is that what you're doing is you're shutting out what we're really trying to get out of you anyway.
Right. In your regular dancing.
In your regular
Right.
and what you're trying to get out is how to perform. And regular dancing is performing. It's not about how technically good you are, because technique is not something that people can see.
All right. What do you mean by that?
Well, see, what tends to happen is that if somebody's watching a group of people dance and somebody's technically great, well, the naked eye really can't tell if that person is technically good. Okay? Technique is something that's self-inflicted, that basically that you get to understand it, but it's not something that really actually shows to other people while they're watching you.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So when you're choreographed, because you've made probably literally thousands of showcases and solos over the years, do you, when you have a new student, a first timer, okay, let's say you're going to choreograph the go-to song, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. Would you make that choreography any different for somebody who's like the first time showcase or versus a seasoned showcase performer?
No, and I'll tell you why that basically is it wouldn't be, because that routine pretty much dictates, that song dictates what the choreography is. So if it's saying, I'm wearing a necklace around my neck, the mannerism that we choreograph is the necklace around the neck. So in turn, it's not like we choreograph in eights and phrasing and stuff like that. It's not about that. Really, that's just the groundwork. What the routine actually is whatever the song is saying. So whatever the song is saying, we put that to a mannerism that a student would do that demonstrates those words in a movement. So in turn, the routine would be the same for somebody that's been dancing 10 years or it's been dancing 1 year.
And the quality of dance itself may be a little different, but the choreography
Yeah,
is the
but
same.
see, the choreography is going to dictate whatever the song is singing about.
Right, that makes sense.
Right. And not only that, and what tends to happen too is that when that student that actually is in that routine, once they start being familiar with the song, listening to over and over and over, they're actually getting better at dancing it, because they're dancing whatever the song is saying. So it's kind of like, for chronologically, this movement comes after this movement comes after this movement. Well, this word comes after this word comes after this word. So as they get familiar with the song, they're actually getting familiar with their routine too.
Right, absolutely. So we touched on it a little bit earlier in what you were saying, but how does doing a showcase and getting all these experiences and all these great benefits of doing a solo or showcase, how does this translate to your regular dancing, and what effect does it have on it?
Well, see, here's the thing. What all dancing is for the people that see it, that understand what you're saying through a movement. Okay. Now, I don't want to get too difficult with this, but what tends to happen is that dancing is all about mannerisms. If somebody's saying about, if the song is saying something about love, well, the movement has got to demonstrate that. Okay.
Right.
So in turn, when somebody comes in, let's say somebody's tall, somebody's skinny, somebody's a little heavier, somebody's a little lighter.
Sure.
Well, they're going to move the way they move. They've been moving their whole life.
Right.
What we do is we put that music to their movement pretty much. So in turn, it's not like every dancer should not look the same.
Right.
Right? So as they don't look the same, what tends to happen is that person moves like this. They brought that in there because they've been moving like that their whole life. So we're really not going to change that. What we do is we adapt a feeling to that movement. So what does it do when you're doing a routine? Well, that routine is specific. It's pretty specific, and it works chronologically, so it never changes. So in turn, your body starts getting used to doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Right.
So in turn, then that's what the body keeps.
So would you say that students who are, and when I say regular dancing, I mean closed syllabus or open routines, I'll call that regular, and then showcase and solos are different. Would you say that you notice, because you've judged also How many years have you been judging, actually?
Probably 30.
30 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So would you say that you've noticed that the students who have done the showcase and solos, do they tend to perform and place better at competitions versus students who have not done solos and
Yeah,
showcases?
absolutely. See, the thing is that what tends to happen is somebody that's doing a performance, a showcase, solo, or novelty, whatever it might be. If you look at like Fred Astaire movies, right? Let's just take
Yeah,
that for example. Every routine that he did always told some kind of story.
sure, for sure.
Always did. So you saw the lightness in where he moved and stuff like that, right? But now, what tends to happen is this. Let's say when we talk about regular dancing, like curriculum dancing,
Hmm.
that's no different. What we did is we put a pattern together. So let's say the rumba, the basic rumba step, right? The basic rumba step is that's what it is.
Right.
That's the script you get. Every step that you learn within your routine, within that bronze syllabus, that's the dialogue.
Hmm.
That's the dialogue. And so each movement that we do means something. It has to do with something.
Right.
If it's like in cha-cha, it's what we try to demonstrate something that's more flirtatious. Okay,
Right.
if it's rumba, we demonstrate something that's a little more passionate, right? If it's waltz, we demonstrate something that's more love, right? Because that's what waltz is.
Hmm.
So in turn, and even in the syllabus thing, you're really actually we're teaching you to perform.
Right.
What showcases do, it gives you a shortcut because every little mannerism is choreographed in there. So it's not left up to chance.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, good. Couple more questions about this because it's given a lot of different aspects of the benefits and what you can expect with the showcases. When you're judging a showcase, all right, you're sitting in that chair and you've got 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which should talk about this. How you don't want a routine to go too long, right?
Right, right.
Because then you
2 minutes,
you,
two and
you
a half
lose
minutes,
interest.
that's pretty
Even the
max.
best routines
Yeah,
you can run too
yeah.
long. But what are you looking for? First impression, like what is your main staple that you look for when you're going to mark a showcase versus compared to you've got 60 showcases? What stands out? What really gives you the okay? This is getting a really high score.
Right. Well, it's casting, okay? It's casting. And what I mean by casting is this. Did we cast the right person to the right song? Okay. Does that song sound like it's coming from that person?
Okay.
That's the number one thing. So what tends to happen is this. Let's say that we have a man singing about New York, New York. And then we have a woman that's doing the routine. Okay, well, all of a sudden now what happens is this. Now we're just dancing generically. Okay. But let's say that, it's the same woman and you have a Judy Garland or Barbara Streisand or whoever it might be that's singing.
Right.
Does that sound like the person that's dancing? Because whatever that person is saying and singing, it's got to sound like that person's dancing and moving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if they're in character and it looks like they were cast into the right
And
part,
to the right song.
that
that's-
really
yeah.
that stands out. That marks
Right.
and that really sometimes that's more on the choreographer
Yeah. Sure.
or the teachers or the student themselves. But sometimes you do get the student coming in. I want to do this song.
Yeah.
I want to do this performance, and
Right. And then sometimes you might go, okay, well, this doesn't really fit who you are
Right, right.
personality-wise, because what tends to happen is that's what we dance from is personality. So does the song fit your personality? Probably. If it doesn't, then we have to try to maybe maneuver into a place that it is. Now, there is some things that you can do that's singing. Let's say the song is singing about generic love or something like that, generically.
right.
And then we can put movements to that, which it's more like a dream sequence or something like that. So it's not, it could be anybody.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And let me ask one more question. So, how do you feel about because sometimes not so much at Fred Astaire comps, but you go to Independence, you see the showcase and solo division, and let's say you have a Fred Astaire couple out there, and they're doing, they're in costume of the character. You choreographed it, and they're lip syncing, and they're rolling on the ground. It's like you're watching the Jersey Boys out there, and then the next performer's out there, and they're doing open cha cha to a generic song, like you
Right.
said. What is that? How do you feel about that in the showcase and solo division?
Yeah, that's one thing. It's, there's a place for that. Okay, there's a place for that, and that's usually in the open categories.
Right, right.
You know, when that happens, what tends to happen is now you can do a cha. You can tell a story
Mm-hmm.
through a cha-cha
Okay.
just as long as that it's saying whatever the song is saying
Right.
through cha-cha timing, right? But when somebody's just going out there and dancing, that kind of blows it.
Right.
That kind of blows it. Yeah.
That'll
that
blow
kind-
for you. It
yeah,
really does
yeah,
stand out when you got somebody
yeah.
doing a Broadway show, one
Right.
number, and the next number they're
Right.
doing
Right.
they're doing
Right.
syllabus
Right.
steps in the
Yeah.
rumba,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Now you can tell, like I said, you can tell. You know, it's right. I mean, but let's say that if it's structured right,
uh-huh.
it could still mean that. You know, it
Okay.
could say like, okay, she ran away from me. You can run away from the man through a cha-cha timing.
Sure.
So it looks like it still fits the song.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's possible. It just has to be done right.
It just has to be done.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
very good. Well, I think we learned a lot about showcasing solos today.
cool.
A lot of great information. Appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you'll be here for the next couple of days at the Long Grove studio making great routines. So
Yeah.
you guys can take a look at those coming up at the next national and interregional comps. But appreciate your time. Thanks for being here,
All right.
Bruno.
My pleasure, dude.
All right, DJ, cue that music.